Nowadays, the majority of people lack any sense of fulfillment in their lives. We drown ourselves in social media, television shows, and various forms of entertainment. Many of us lack a sense of fulfillment because we lack a sense of purpose. So you may be asking yourself, what is purpose? And how do I discover what my purpose is? In the context of what we're talking about, purpose is basically what your goal is for your life or your meaning for living. Personally, I think it should be something that's like a solid concrete thing that you could realistically attain in your life. So vague ideas and concepts just like, oh, I want to be happy, or I want to be rich, that's just not going to cut it. In my experience, challenging myself to grow and be better is the first and most important purpose that pops up in my mind. But it's not the only purpose. I think that's where people get it wrong. You could have several purposes. You can't just be like, oh, I have this one thing, then that's the only thing. So you could also, be a good worker, productive member of society. For me personally, I have a career in a particularly skilled trade where if you don't think before you're acting, you could potentially get yourself or somebody else killed, or at the very least severely injured. So I also feel a sense of purpose in starting this channel, and I'm hoping that I could reach the lives of other people that also want to grow and build from their past mistakes. How do you discover what your purpose is? It's hard to explain that easily, but in my opinion, I'd say finding something that makes you feel positive and proud of yourself is a good start. In my situation, I discovered that my purpose was through less than ideal means. When I was 18 years old, I engaged in criminal activity that resulted in my incarceration in a state prison for about 7.5 years. During those first couple years, I admit that I was absolutely fucking terrible. I'd blame all my problems and current situation on everything. The government, my parents, society. And then one day, I came across this book. It's called The Warrior Elite. And it was about Navy SEALs and their infamous BUDS training. I slowly started realizing that nobody was at fault but myself in the situation. It was my actions that led to the consequences I was now dealing with, and it was solely on me to put in the effort to do and be better. So, I began to work out, started reading a lot of books. Sometimes I'd finish like 10 books in a month, and I even got up to the point where I was regularly doing 10-minute long plank holds, and I was weight training and or doing calisthenics for an hour or two every day. And I was absolutely 100% without a shadow of a doubt in my mind in an environment that did not encourage hope or positivity whatsoever. So I had to build that. I had to build the belief and force myself to mature and grow in there. And even to this day, I have up days and I have down days. But regardless of how the days are going, I think if you keep yourself on the path, then you will achieve your goals. So discipline, right? And a perfect example of this is this. When I was in high school, I ran track. I was very slow, and I never ran anything more than the 200-meter dash, which that's like at a standard high school football field. That's half of that stadium track. I wasn't an endurance athlete. But then, in April 2023, about a year after I got out of prison, I ran my first marathon. It took me about 4.5 hours to run it, and I had no prior training whatsoever. I just went out and did it. But I think, 4.5 hours isn't too bad. Statistics show that in the United States, only 0.5 to 1% of the population completes a marathon. So basically, that's out of 1,000 random Americans, only 5 to 10 of them have crossed the finish line. So I was satisfied with myself for finishing that, but I didn't want to stop there. I decided, you know what, I'm going to keep pushing myself even further. So later on in 2023, I completed two 50Ks, which is 31.1 miles. And then in 2024, I completed my longest distance to date. And that was a 50-mile race. It took me just over 15 hours. I think it was 15 hours and 11 minutes, which is pretty slow. It's like 19 minutes per mile. But statistically, the marathon thing is 5 out of 10 of every 1,000 random Americans, while the 50-mile ultramarathon distance is only about 1 in 10,000 Americans ever would complete a run of that distance. So as you can see, I went from barely being able to go around a full lap of a track to running ultras. And the only thing that changed is my mindset. And I ran those races because I believed I could do it. When the pain was absolutely overwhelming, my body was screaming at me to quit, I refused. I just kept my purpose, or reason for doing it, close at hand in my mind, which inspired me and reminded me that I have more to give. Of course, ultramarathons are probably a little extreme for most people, but that belief that you need to have in yourself and the mindset that you must develop in order to achieve your goals is essential in finding and keeping your purpose. So how do you find your purpose? I'd say start by analyzing your life from a detached perspective. Who are you? Really, who are you? Not the person you want to project to other people, but who you really are. What are you into? What gets you excited? What makes you feel positive? Also, what brings you down? What do you hate? Being able to understand that and then being able to build the belief when you feel like you don't have any is something that's going to be key here. There's going to be a lot of days that you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to feel like shit. I know I do. You're not even going to want to get out of bed, right? But this is where most people fail. As long as you're willing to push yourself beyond your perceived limits, you will get to where you want to be. These are the most important days to be disciplined and stay consistent. Whether that might be, I don't know, a training regimen, or a work or school project, or even, restraining yourself from blowing money on something you don't need, or something that's going to take you further away from whatever your goal may be. Maybe it might be like a savings or financial goal, right? Anyways, I'm going to end this lecture with a couple questions for you. What goal are you currently working towards? And what's been distracting or preventing you from obtaining it? Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like and hit that subscribe button.